Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Angel Face Magic Hour. Today, we're doing a little bit of a different episode. Today, we're with Ren, and we're going to be doing a reading. So I've been working on my psychic sight, my clairvoyance, and I've been really wanting to explore that more and explore my ability to share those visions that I receive to people in a way that they can understand. So I've been wanting to do these aura readings, and Ren volunteered, so I'm really excited. And yeah, basically what I'm going to do is we look at the aura, the energy body, and then we look at the different bodies, the emotions, our different chakra centers, and then more physical body stuff if it's relevant. And yeah, I'm just really excited that you're doing this with me. Ren's like super amazing herbalist, amazing, does a lot of things, but you're the person that introduced me to Reiki, so you definitely made a huge impact on my life, and it's really valuable to me to be able to do this for you today. So I'm just excited. But I was showing Ren this before, like I just create a little drawing, and if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can see it. It's not the most clear picture, but just so you get an idea, I do create like a little body, so that way I can kind of use that as almost like a doll or a proxy to tune into you, because I'm not actually sitting with you and placing my hands on your body like we would do in like a Reiki session. So, and then I was saying to you, some of the stuff with the emotional body was interesting to me. So we'll definitely explore that. But like, to begin, I'll just have us close our eyes for a second, just so we can kind of tune in, and we'll just take like 5 deep breaths. So just breathing in through the nose and exhale out the mouth. Okay. And then what I had you do was I had you send me your name and your birth date and a photograph, and that just helps me like be able to feel the person's energy. But it's every psychic's different, so not everyone uses that information, but it's helpful for me. So I had that, and then I just basically do like a little prayer where I'll connect to your energy. And the idea is that even though we're not together, I can still feel what you're feeling. And then specifically what I'm working on is the vision. So I'm trying to see images and be able to relay them to you. But the first thing, so around your body is our aura, our spirit body. So that's like, I would say everyone's is different, but it's surrounding your physical form. And yours was like this. I pulled this crystal out because I feel like this was the easiest way to explain it, but it was like this sea foamy greenish. This is garnierite. It's like a moonstone, a green moonstone, I think is what they're called. But like a shimmery greenish blue color. But the very like clear vision I saw about it was like sea foam, like the actual foam that comes off the ocean. Like it felt like bubbling, like if you get a latte, like the froth on top of a latte, like it felt like bubbling, and the bubbles were like, yeah, disappearing with the air. Like it felt like effervescent, like Alka-Seltzer or something, like around your energy, and this like greenish bluish color, more green I would say. Or I also pulled this one because I thought it was kind of similar, like a fluorite, a light greeny color. It was really pretty. But yeah, it was like bubbling, effervescent, but at the same time, I would say thick to describe it. Like it feels like around you, it's like this thickness where it feels comfortable. Like when people are with you, like they could feel comfortable around you, but they don't necessarily dive into your energy without you letting them. Like it feels like you have a pretty good force field kind of energy around you, which I think is a positive thing. That I think that helps you like stay inside yourself and like your own feelings. And it's like I wouldn't say an impenetrable force, like things can come in, but it feels like just like people can stay slightly away from you where it doesn't feel like they're crawling inside of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah.
Okay. So then what I was looking at was like the emotional body, so like the energy that surrounds you. And it's quite interesting. I'm sure there's other people that have this, but I'd never seen it in my experience. So I'll show you. It's kind of hard to see, but it was like these little, how I explain it was like dendrites or something. It looked like the spaces in between your teeth, or like the nervous system, like how the nervous system or even trees, like roots, they kind of separate and spread and go their own ways, but they're all connected. It was like almost around you was like this membrane kind of thing. Pretty cool. And out of them was like these little, I don't know how to explain them. The word I'm receiving is dendrites, but I'm like, I don't know what that means, but I know it has something to do with the teeth or something like that. But it's like a spreading apart around you. And the way that I understood it, they were explaining it as around you, it's like these little tubes almost of energy, emotions, feelings, and they separate through space and time. So I'm going to try to make this more understandable. Like, say you're here and you're just thinking about something, like thinking about New York City or something, like your energy could kind of tune into that feeling and like actually feel what it feels like to be there. Or think about, oh, that time when I was 12, like you can really move through space with your emotions. Like you could feel what it feels like to experience that time, even though you're not there, for yourself, but also for other people, which could be hard to manage sometimes. But like if someone was like telling you a story that was emotional for them, like you might feel the emotions. Does that make sense?
That's very on point, actually. Yeah.
It was interesting. It was like this spreading. I have to like see if I can find like a picture to try to show you so you can explain, so I can explain it more. But like it really just looked to me like the nervous system, like if you were to look at an image and how they're all connected, but it's surrounding you rather than inside your body. It's almost like the nervous system was like outside of your body, where it's like an I don't know, ESP kind of thing, extrasensory perception. Like it's not just in here, it's outside of you. And I know you're very sensitive, so that makes sense to me. Like, intuitive and things like that. But I'd never seen it like displayed that way, like where the time and the space were split. Like you could go through time with your emotions, or you could go through space with your emotions. And I was like, I've never seen that before. That was really interesting.
I keep picturing like mycelium.
Yeah, totally. Like the roots or like mycelium, like everything is kind of flowing on top of each other, but it's almost like a tunnel or something. Like you could follow one direction or you could follow the other direction.
Yeah. Cool.
It was very beautiful. And then it was like, they say explain nervous system outside the body. And then I was like, okay, so can we follow one of these little places? And they took us to, I don't know if this is like a special place for you or like a memory, or even, I could be even a past life thing, but it was like, it took us down this little pathway to this giant willow tree. And the willow tree was like, obviously they're kind of dangling kind of trees, but it felt like it was surrounding you. And then it was like you as like a child or something, like sitting under the tree and like sleeping and relaxing. And it just felt like maybe that's a place where your inner child just feels comfortable, but it just felt like that was a place of inner peace with you in this like willow tree. And willows are really interesting. They're very powerful, like medicine. I know you work with plants, so I'm sure you're aware of that. But it was really cool. It was like this beautiful tree, and then it was like a doorway in the tree, which reminded me of like Nightmare Before Christmas or something, like these little doorways in the tree. And I was like, okay, can we go in the door? And they didn't let us go all the way inside. So I'm sure you could probably go in there, but they were like, I don't know who you are. They didn't let me go all the way inside. But when I opened it, it was almost like, I don't know if it was like a guide for you or a memory. I'm not really sure, but it was like this troll kind of being creature thing. Like it felt very protective energy, and it felt like it's almost like it felt like a masculine. I don't know if trolls have genders, but it felt like this protective energy. But it feels like it was sitting inside your heart, like to make you feel more like comfortable in time, is how they explain to me. Because they say, you know, if we look at your soul, we've had many iterations of our lives, but they say it might be more difficult for you to live in time, like in the day by day rather than a month. Feels easier to understand than hour by hour, day by day. So for some, I don't know if this makes sense, but this troll guy, he felt like he was helping you feel comfortable in the idea of things taking time.
Yeah.
Things come down to being slower. And I know trolls are kind of like slow. They might like, I just see the image of like feet kind of going through the mud. Like it's not bad that it takes a long time, but it can be tiring. Like, but he feels like, yeah, just like a protector and kind of energy to make you feel, yeah, it's like a safety kind of thing. Does that make sense to you?
It does make
I know
sense.
it's kind of weird, but
No, and actually with the willow tree, do you want feedback
oh, sure.
on things? Actually, in like the hardest point in my childhood, there was a willow tree in the front yard, and I spent a lot of time with that tree, like daydreaming and playing make believe and just being with it like all the time. And I haven't thought about that tree in a very long time.
They want to, yeah, they want to see you again.
A lot of sense. Yeah.
And you know, your energy's still there.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it could be interesting to try to kind of meditate and see if you could connect with that tree.
Yeah.
But yeah, it feels like a very, a safe kind of place.
Yeah.
And then it's like he lives in the tree. Maybe you connected to him when you were a child or something. But not like, I feel like troll in our imagery, like mythology and stuff, can feel like evil or scary. Like this is, it just feels like a very, I don't know, nurturing, masculine, like a uncle father kind of energy. Like I might not be taking action for you, but like I'm here to support you. That's kind of how it feels.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, no, I'm very connected to like gnomes and trolls and elves and
that makes sense to
all
me.
those kind of like friends.
Yeah, you're definitely like an inner world kind of person.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Yeah,
it was really, I was like a troll. Like it felt like, because I couldn't go all the way in there, but it felt like Lord of the Rings or something, like looking like with like a, what is it called, a tavern kind of place or something like that. It just felt like a really lively but dim. Like it wasn't crazy bright, but it felt like a peaceful, comfortable place.
Cool.
Which was really interesting. But yeah, that was like the emotional body, and it kind of just took me through this little journey, and I was like, oh, that was really interesting, but it just felt important, so I wanted to share.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And then I was kind of looking at like your just the energy centers, like the chakra centers. So behind you, so it's hard to see, but so this is our little body. Around us is like that sea foamy bubbliness. And then there's like those weird little tree root dendrite looking things. I got to find out what a dendrite is. And then we have our roots like going us into the earth. So it feels like for you, it feels like around the root feels supported. Like it feels like your feet feel very supported, like on the ground. It felt like wool socks, like comfortable, but it's almost like, yeah, it just comes back to the time thing. Like it feels comfortable in space, but time feels a little bit weird. So it's like, it feels like you're grounded into the earth, but part of the crown energy is like, I guess I would explain it like a back and forth kind of thing. Like you might go up and come back, up and come back kind of thing. Like daydreaming kind of thing. Like we said, if you think of something, your energy is going to be kind of sent there. But at the same time, you are in your body and you're like here. So it doesn't feel like a disassociated, like I leave and then I'm where am I kind of thing. It feels like you can be in the body, like you're not moving, but your energy, your mind can like travel. And I feel like it can be used for really positive things. And I feel like, I know you're a creative person, but I feel like that's a really powerful place where you can get like your inspiration and ideas, like and it's not like you have to try to think of ideas. It's like the ideas can come to you. So like, you could set up a time where, okay, I'm going to sit and write or draw or whatever, and like have time where you are going to be creative, but you don't necessarily have to sit and have an outline ahead of time of what you're going to do. They're like more flow.
Yeah.
I
feel that.
Yeah. And then your sacral energy, so that's like underneath our belly button, that's more of our like creative force. It's the way they explain it was extremely long. It's I was like, what? They said, I'm just reading my notes, but they said this part of you feels like it goes on forever. But there isn't always a place for it to land. So it's almost like an inner flood, like you have all this creative energy and then you have all these outlets for it, but it's like finding which one is going to be the most exciting for you to place your energy towards. Like rather than doing like little things, finding something you can put a large amount of energy into. And I think that would feel good to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's good. It feels very like potent. Like it feels like the energy is just like floats up your body. Woo! Like but it's like, where can we place it? And I know like it just feels like it has to come out of the hands, out of the throat. Like, do you ever do singing?
Not really. Maybe in the car.
Just, it doesn't have to be like a performance, but just for fun kind of thing. Like things coming out this way too.
Yeah, sometimes, occasionally. But I'm in the midst of a career change that has been really good for like giving my creativity a place to go and like thrive. But yeah, using my voice is difficult. So I'll work on that.
It doesn't have to necessarily be singing, but like something where things are able to come out here. So breath work could be good for that too.
Yeah.
But like when we looked at the throat too, it feels like the inner part, like here, feels very solid, like the energy's flowing, like you know what you feel and what you want to say, and you know yourself. But here it feels, I don't want to say like stuck, but like a little bit stagnant or like rusty, kind of like your thoughts, how you want to feel, like you're clear on that, but it's like, how could you express it? And it feels like you're already working on that. It doesn't feel like it's trapped, like, let this out. Like it feels like there's places for it to go, but it feels like there is more like behind your ears. It's almost like a draining sensation that wants to be like drained. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, and then the heart. Oh yeah, so we missed the solar. So the solar, it was very interesting. So that's like our willpower and like how we want to express ourselves. Which I don't really like the word willpower. I feel like there's a better way to explain that. But who we want to be and how we want to be in the world. It feels like in there, it feels very bright, like super bright, like swirling lights, like shining, twinkling lights. Like it feels really, the inner child feels like it can live in there. Like it feels excited, almost like a rave kind of situation. Feels like I don't know how to explain it other than like rave dancing, where people do like the thing with the glow sticks and they move their arms around. Like that's what it felt like, moving lights like in different directions.
In the solar.
Yeah.
Cool.
It felt like bright and expansive. And then yeah, and more in the heart, it feels like really, when they took me into the heart, it's almost like we went down, like through the throat and through the back. So it feels like here feels really open, like things can come in, but it almost gets stuck a little bit in the back of like, I don't know how to explain this. It feels like maybe you feel like you have to hold on to something for longer than you need to, where it's like it might annoy you or irritate you, but you're like, okay, let me just hold this for a little while longer. It feels like a little bit just like, oh, you just want to let things go through the back, but sometimes that's difficult. It doesn't feel like it's stuck, like there's nothing moving there. It just feels like sometimes it takes longer to let things go that you know that you want to. Does that make sense?
That does make a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
And like just us talking about it, like, you know, it's not the same as us doing like Reiki. Like I know that you do that too. Like, you know, you're placing your hands on the energy and we're moving and we're manipulating it. But like us talking about it, like if things are ready to shift, like they're going to on their own. So it's not like we're pushing and pulling your energy around, but you might feel like things shift.
Oh.
That's normal.
Sorry.
Is that the dog?
Yeah.
And then yeah, just a couple other things with the third eye. It was interesting. It felt like you see a little bit differently than I do. It was very cool. It was like almost like you were a mole or something, like you were seeing in the dark, like how cats or moles or like those kind of animals can see like I don't think it's ultraviolet, but some kind of light that we can't see, and they can like navigate in the dark. Like that's what it felt like, you could see in the dark and like navigate through the dark. And it feels like almost like the vision doesn't need to be like always super bright for it to be clear. Like you could understand it even if it's almost clouded a little. Like And I think that goes down to your intuition too, like your inner knowing, like you might feel a way about someone or something before it happens, or like have a dream about something, like, but you don't need every single part of the story to understand the story. Like you can kind of just read the first few pages and then you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feeling I got. Like you can just navigate through things without needing to see fully. But when you do see it, it's like this cat-like kind of thing, or mole, I don't know, like tunneling through. It feels like you can just know the direction you're trying to go, like a instinct kind of feeling. It was
Yeah,
interesting. And then with the crown, it just felt like the only thing I saw was like an orange, like a fruit orange, like a slice of orange, like squeezing. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but it feels like just zesty, like, and the crown is like our connection, yeah, to our intuition too. But it feels to me like very much connected back to that creativity and like the sacral, like your intuitive knowing or connection to source, whatever we want to call that, like comes through more like the life force of creative energy rather than the mind. Like the mind is creative too, but it's like for you, it feels more like a full body feeling. When you receive like intuitive knowing, it might just be a sensation. You might get a vision, but it's not necessarily always the same. Like they're showing it, sometimes it comes in different ways. And I think that also connects to the emotions, like being able to tune into these different types of feelings. And also like something about like not having to have the language to describe something for it to be like valuable or important to you. Like, yeah, like it doesn't have to have a word for it to be real.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually really get that.
Okay. Okay, good.
Sometimes there's like an essence to something that you can't explain.
Yeah, it's
You
like
can feel it.
intangible.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it was very beautiful. Like, I don't know, just like orange juice, just zest. Yeah. And then I think that was about it. I think I wrote down one more thing. Did we talk about the painting already? The thing behind your head?
I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
we didn't. There was um so like sometimes I'll see, I guess, like spirit guides or something like that. So it feels like um around you is like this seafoam aura. Then we have like all the other things we talked about within the energy. And then almost behind you was like a painting. And it was like this painting, like just behind your head. It was like a painting of like an older woman. And I was like, oh, is this like a guide or like an ancestor or something? And I didn't get like full clarity around that, but I wanted to share it either way in case it's relevant to you. But it felt like a great grandmother or grandmother, or it could be some kind of like guide for you, but it felt like I guess I would explain it as insistent, like they have continuous things to share. And sometimes that can feel, I guess, confusing because it's like, okay, what is the message? So I was just kind of asking if they had any like a clear something for us.
Uh-huh.
But it just feels like they wanted to be acknowledged, like they didn't have a specific thing they wanted to share.
Hmm.
They just really wanted to be acknowledged.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was like, to me it feels like it could be an ancestor, like someone in your family line,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even like a great grandparent or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't get like a clear, is this Jill or Joe or whatever.
No, that's interesting. I've been doing a lot of ancestry work recently because I don't really know my family. Um, so I've been like doing a lot of research and like did the 23andMe and all of that. So that's interesting. I don't know.
So maybe she just wants to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think too, like just having names, like my aunt visited me the other week, like for Christmas. She was out here and she lives on the East Coast, and I had her write a bunch of different names down for me because my mom doesn't really have any of that stuff. And I feel like even if I don't know these people, just having like their names, so you could maybe write down some of those names that maybe came up through Ancestry or 23andMe. But if you don't have names, it's not entirely important.
Mhm.
Like, you can still connect to them just through the energy.
Mhm.
But I wonder if, like, with finding names, if it would be possible to find like images or anything. It could be
Yeah.
kind of cool to see if there's any old photographs or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I found some things. I found some names and a few pictures online,
Oh, cool.
but not a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. And, people didn't take obsessive photographs all the time like we did. So there's not
Yeah.
as much stuff
Yeah.
to find. But yeah, it felt like just like kind of, I wouldn't say annoying, but insistent. Like they just want to be connected to.
Hmm.
So I think like there's so many different ways we can connect with our ancestors. So just kind of like seeing what feels good to you. You don't necessarily have to set up an altar or anything, but I think journaling and stuff like that could also be a nice way to speak to them, or saying it out loud. That might be good for you.
Yeah. Connect to my voice.
But yeah, it felt, if everything, it didn't, the only place where it felt a little stuck would be like the sides of the throat and a little bit behind the heart, but it still feels like everything's moving, like doesn't feel like anything's trapped in the body. Like it feels like everything's flowing. It's
Oh.
just kind of giving you some insight.
Mhm.
And then I'd be curious to see if you want to connect with that tree, like in a meditation, see if anything comes up with that.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
interesting. I had like all of these like memories come back, like when you mentioned it, and I was like, forgot about that.
Well, do you have any questions for me before we close out?
Um, I don't know. I don't think so. This was great. This was really
Thank
cool.
you. I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
it's a really cool type of reading and gave me a lot of insight. That
Yay,
was
I'm so glad.
that was like um affirming in some ways, and also like some unexpected things that are interesting, and I don't know, it's good.
Good,
Like,
I'm so glad.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, and then these are the crystals that I felt like very much connected to you. So what I like to do with crystals is just kind of Google or like find it. I have some books that I like, but like look up the metaphysical connections. And sometimes I feel like there's insight in that. But Garnier, right? or green moonstone. This is like the one that felt very much similar to like that aura color, and then like fluorite,
Mhm.
and then amethyst as well, which is like that purpley color. This is like everyone knows what amethyst looks like, but it's like a light purple color. But yeah, green and purple, and green is the heart, and purple is more like third eye, intuition.
Mhm.
But I also feel like purple is like the in-between kind of color. Like anything is possible with this color, it feels like to me. Like you could tap into all those different times and spaces within this color. And
Okay.
there's so many different cool mythologies about color. So that's also a fun thing to research. But yeah. Well, thank you. I love doing that. It was really awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll just close our eyes for a second. We'll just close out. So we ask to call all our energy back to us, sending Ren's energy back to them, calling all my energy back to me. Any energy we moved or shifted, we ask to be released. So be it, so it is. Amazing. Thank you. So yeah, and then I'll just let you know before I actually air this episode, and then yeah, you can listen back to if you want to.
Okay.
Or anything. But yeah, and then I'll send you a picture of this, of my little notes, so you can look it up close if you want.
Okay. That'd be great. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I'm sure you know this, but for anyone listening, like when you do a reading or a healing session, like it's important to just drink a little extra water, maybe rest, go for a walk. Like don't just like rush back into your day trying to chill. But yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you. I love doing that. And I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.